subscribe.
What's good, y'all? We back with that One Piece 1090 review, chapter Kizaru. Back again, man. Let's get into it. So coming into the first page, Luffy's pretty much talking to the whole Gorosei, and I mean, he's pretty much just told them their whole stack. And I mean, Robin kind of scolds him just because, you know, she looks at him like, you're not really great with negotiating and whatnot. You can't just give out a whole stack. And I mean, it's definitely interesting just because this is like the first time that, you know, Luffy has actually communicated with the Gorosei. And I mean, Luffy isn't even aware of these guys at all, but they definitely know who he is, like 100%. So, I mean, this is definitely interesting. So 2 of the Vegapunks are confirmed to be dead. Lucci seems a little suspicious to me just because he seems like he's muttering something to himself, but I doubt he's actually gonna act out considering how the last battle between him and Luffy actually went. And I'm talking pre-time skip. The Gorosei don't actually seem to actually care for human life, but I mean, they're part of the Celestial Dragons, so I mean, we already know that they definitely think that they're just better than everybody else. So down in the lower basement, it seems that Usopp's actually in charge of looking after the Seraphim, who've actually been trapped in bubbles. I think the bubbles are actually the ones that Vegapunk created, well, from the new designs anyway, and I don't think that the Seraphim can actually use their abilities inside the bubbles. Definitely not, because Mihawk's sword, at least the Mihawk Seraphim, his sword is actually outside of the bubble. And interestingly enough, they can actually talk. I actually thought that the Seraphim were just like, you know, just doppelgangers who were just given orders, and, you know, they just did whatever not did whatever they want, but they were just given orders, and, you know, they fulfill out the orders, but they didn't actually have any sort of humanity, if that makes sense. Interestingly enough, I'm actually wondering what actually happened over the time frame in which we were away from Egghead and at the point we're at now. So the petrification on Frankie's actually been undone, and it was actually S-Snake who actually undid it. Luffy was the one who actually asked her to undo it, which is kind of funny just because, well, Hancock's in love with Luffy, so I mean, S-Snake is based off Hancock, so of course, you know, the moment Luffy asks her to do something, she'll probably just simp for Luffy and whatnot, which I mean is fine, but I mean, I'm like, it's definitely interesting though, because, you know, you really got to sit there and think about just the mannerisms the Seraphim are actually going to have as they continue to grow. So at the moment, the password to the shield is basically keeping everybody trapped. And it's definitely problematic. And on top of that, we still got the world government, the 10 vice admirals. Who else we got? J. Garcia Saturn, the actual admiral himself, and it's Kizaru too. I feel like out of all the admirals, like, Kizaru is definitely like, he's not brainless, but then he's definitely the one he's too chill. So for example, when it came to Wano, he casually just stated that he was just gonna go to Wano to stop Kaido and Big Mom. Like, do you know how much confidence you need to have to be able to casually just sit there and say that? Like, I mean, who else went there? I mean, Green Bull went there, but I mean, we all know what happened to that man right there. But this is definitely one of Oda's plot devices that he uses to, you know, create tension and suspense. So for example, when we were back in Dressrosa, we had the birdcage, and remember, the birdcage was actually closing in to the point where the Admiral even had to help. And then you remember back in Punk Hazard, we had the Caesar gas that was basically just solidifying everybody, and everybody basically had to run. And y'all remember back in Onigashima where Kaido was actually holding up the island, the power he was using to hold up the island, that was weakening as Kaido weakened too. So with every fight that he actually had, his control over the island continued to drop until Momonosuke basically had to jump in and, you know, basically save the day. So yeah. So the next island has actually been revealed, and it seems like we're going to Elbaf. I'm definitely excited just because I've always wanted to see what the interaction between the Straw Hats and the Giants is going to be like. I doubt Shanks is still going to be there though. Also, the Straw Hats actually need to find the man marked by fire, which was actually the next tip that was given after the fight with Kaido. Before, I actually thought it might be Saul, but then from things that I've seen in videos and whatnot, I definitely think, I'm thinking it might be Gavin, just because with every transition that they've made, it's always been like a member of like the Roger Pirates that's actually helped them transition to the next point. So for example, when you think of Saboti, it was Rayleigh. When they went into the Red Line, it was the guy who was with Laboon. I forget his name. I'll put a picture up though. So Luffy, Lilith, Frankie, and Bonnie, they're all going towards Vega Force 1. Now, I was born at night, not last night. And of course, Bonnie's whole persona has completely gone from like 0 all the way to 100, or 100 to 0. And what's funny, right, is that Luffy, the king of zero self-awareness and whatnot, even notices the change of persona. If that literally doesn't tell you that she's the imposter, I don't know what does. But we did see the Blackbeard Pirates lurking around the island a couple chapters ago. So, I mean, 2 plus 2 is looking like 4 right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I saw this in the chapter, right? And Jay Garcia Saturn actually had a pretty interesting conversation with Kizaru. Well, it's more interesting on Kizaru's side just because, one, I feel like we're going to get a character moment from him. Considering that the chapter is actually called Kizaru, he didn't really do much, like, character-wise. Like, I mean, we know, something's about to go down right now and whatnot, but he didn't really do too much personally. But considering that Jay Saturn is pretty much telling Kizaru, like, basically go in, get what you need, and get out. Kizaru's pretty much like, you know what, let me get this done my way. Because, I mean, him and Sentomaru have history. And, I mean, it's definitely interesting because most of the time you're used to seeing, Kizaru just doing what other people say. He doesn't really have I won't say he doesn't have a will of his own, but when he's given orders, he never really questions it when you think about it. He went to Saboti, whooped everybody. He was going to go straight to Wano and go confront Big Mom and Kaido. I mean, do a little brave, but I mean, why not? But I mean, this one's definitely a little interesting towards me because it's a Gorosei member too. And the fact that he's actually mentioning the fact that he wants to do it his way, it kind of makes me sit there and think, what are you actually up to? Because, I mean, I have a feeling that this isn't going to go exactly as the way we think it's going to go. But, I mean, you never know. So, to close up the chapter pretty much, Kizaru's en route. And, I mean, he clashes with Sentomaru, right? And, I mean, it seems like they don't really want to go at it, but it's like they're going at it. But I feel like something's definitely going to happen next chapter with Kizaru giving him some sort of character moment. So, I mean, I'm not really sure. But with the way Luffy's looking right now, the fact that he said someone really strong is coming and whatnot, you can tell this dude is shook. And, I mean, this dude he not running away or nothing and whatnot. But, yo, that haki got him feeling some type of way. You have enough future sight haki and whatnot, you see anything coming. Trust me. But, I mean, honestly, this has been a real good chapter. The build-up towards the, climax at Egghead has been phenomenal. So, I mean, I'm definitely enjoying it. And I'm definitely looking forward to just seeing how this actually turns out. One, with how the rest of the Straw Hats get away. And just, basically the world government just taking another L. Because, I mean, we know the story's not going to end here. So, yeah, man. But either way, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Share the video, like, subscribe. Man, it's been real, man. Peace.